Now I want to welcome you guys back to the Tales of Retrospective Episode 1, Part 2. This part is going to discuss the story arc. Well, not so much discuss as much as go over the entire storyline so you guys better understand it, maybe even enjoy a little bit of it. Now before we begin, I want to address the two minor mistakes I may have made in Part 1 while explaining the history of.
Only two?
Shut up! Now, the first mistake was the iOS game, which had Phantasia released in America, was released in 2014, not 2013, as my subtitle had said up in the above.
Tales of Phantasia finally saw America once again, with our own iOS remake of the game. But I'm reluctant to say that it serves as being one of the most butchered ports ever received.
See what editing at 2 AM does? You make those little minor mistakes. Now, the second mistake was the obvious one that even I can't believe I got wrong. Motoi Sakuraba. Yeah, I know, I accidentally called him Motio Sakuraba, but see, the thing is, I was spending so much time trying to get everything else right that I ended up getting the obvious one wrong.
And the up-and-coming music composer, Motio Sakuraba.
What are you gonna do? This time, we're gonna go through the game and explain the entire story from beginning to end. And after that, we're gonna jump right into Tales of Retrospective Episode 2, Part 1, which is gonna feature Tales of Destiny. But until then, so Green Lantern, you ready for another Tales run?
The mana tree is not gonna heal itself.
We gotta explain Tales of Phantasia now.
No.
Alright, but who am I gonna get for another companion? Right on cue.
I want to be in the retrospective.
Duh! Duh!
Well, let's get started.
For those unaware, Tales of Phantasia, being the first in its series, and of course well into the development stages and pioneering when it came to video games, it followed a very simple formula which all RPGs were technically doing at the time. You see, back then, the character really didn't have to have any major depth, and he was usually a very kind of bland character with hardly any personality, really no weaknesses or faults to hinder the character whatsoever, and it always came down to him having to go up against a mad wizard or a great evil all on his own, or with a party with equally bland personalities, ultimately trying to stop him or her from conquering the world and or taking it over.
Of course!
But of course, that isn't the only thing, especially when it comes to Tales of Phantasia. Obviously, the people who were growing up at this time were interested in things like science fiction and fantasy adventure. So naturally, they felt compelled to make a story that catered to these qualities. Because we all have a desire to go through these escapist tales and become these great heroes, battling these villains in order to save the world.
We can't even begin to explain the world of Phantasia or all of the nerdgasms that it actually creates out there among its fellow RPGs. I mean, wrapped up in this game's makings are elements from the greats like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Doctor Who, Greek mythology, modern myths, 2001: A Space Odyssey. All of this, including Back to the Future, wrapped up and coded neatly into a special Nintendo video game cartridge for everybody to enjoy. Yoshiharu Gotanda, eat your freaking heart out, man. Well, shall we begin?
Oh yeah. Oh wait. I forgot my Red Mountain Dew.
Well, let's do this.
Thanks for letting me be the first player. The game begins with the obligatory message that men are the devil. What else is new? We see the epic bout of a team of heroes versus a mad wizard. And it's not going well. Yet fortunately, one of them managed to pull a counterspell called Indignation and defeats the bastard. By the way, do you notice the female doing a faceplant on the floor? Her Tails career didn't last long.
We then cut to our opening credits. Gee, this looks kind of familiar. Oh, don't worry, we'll make it obvious later. Unfortunately, the mad wizard named Daus escaped the battle and used his last temporal charge. Long story. His last temporal charge to travel into the future to an underground crypt that, well, sad for him, wasn't the best idea, as a new team, ready and waiting, captured him upon arrival and sealed him away forever. The new team then sighs with relief as the age-old battle through history has now finally ended. And then the game is over! Job well done. Wow, that was a short adventure. At long last, the mission passed down through the ages by my family is at an end. So, who's up for tacos? No, wait. Oh, good. We then cut to many years later, where we find a swordsman from the team named Miguel now is married and teaches a school of young kids the art of slaying their enemies in a constant overhead strike formation. Evil is powerless before this kind of fury. We also learn that Miguel is now father to our main protagonist, Kless Alvain.
Cress.
Jane, don't you start with me!
Kless, being a young male and the first in our new line of RPGs, has the common Boy Scout heroic charm. An all-around good guy, with nothing better to do than to help his friends and have a simple life. Miguel briefly then mentions an ancient magical pendant that he gave Kless for his birthday a while back, and that he wants to discuss it with him later.
Fortunately, the exposition gets interrupted by our second lead male character, Chester Barklight, who, by the way, was the first character to see me as a friend in Tales of the World mythology.
Radiant mythology.
Yes, that too. He also has a little sister. Because the village of Totus is poor at harvesting, both Kless and Chester make a habit of hunting just outside the village in the nearby woods. Oh, but not before talking to Kless's mommy to collect some apple gels, and of course, we make a quick stop to see Chester's sister. Because if Will doesn't, then I won't be able to play for the next hour. Finally, we manage to leave the town.
Ah, damn it.
What?
This is Master Tristan, an old fart that serves practically no purpose other than being a form of plot convenience. So again, finally, we break out and get to the woods to start hunting for pigs, or something, I don't know, whatever happens to come up for food. The teams separate to chase one of the pigs down, and then Kless suddenly has an episode.
This tree, do no harm to it. Can't you feel its pain?
Life is a magic thing. Yeah, yeah. Life is a magic thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, wondering just how much acid he dropped, Chester reunites, and then they're suddenly attacked by the biggest pig you've ever seen. Jesus Christ. I know what you're thinking. Did we just slaughter a mother pig and all of our innocent little piglets? Yes, we did. But it's okay, because we're the good guys.
And then, wouldn't you know it, all hell breaks loose, and the town is suddenly struck with danger. Kless and Chester return to Totus, finding everything we knew and loved gone. Kless manages to find his mother still able to at least form a few sentences left. She tells him the monsters that killed everything were looking for the pendant, the same one Kless happens to be wearing. Dear God! How irresponsible is that? I mean, that's like a powerful old wizard giving a ring of ultimate power to an unexpecting kid while the...
Kless gazes at the ruins of his home and all of his loved ones, including mourning Chester's loss as well. Maria wants Kless to go north to his aunt and uncle's house, where he should be safe. If you go inside of his house, you can find a saber lying about, obviously from the guards or somebody who came in and trashed the place. And trust me, you're going to want to use this thing to level up for a while because it's the strongest weapon you're going to get for about the next 2 hours in the game. Chester wishes to stay behind and give everybody else a proper burial. Kless then leaves and takes a final look. Once you find Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, close enough, They are already up to speed and ask you if everything is alright.
Well, I did just lose my home, my family, my friends. I'm good. How are you?
Well, that is until that night, you son of a bitch. So naturally, after this little backstab, you get arrested and the got off easy.
What other business do you have with me?
No hard feelings.
Wait, no, please! Oh, I'm dead.
Oh, he's really lucky, because if I had came back, oh, he'd have gotten much worse. Believe me.
Kless is then taken to the mansion of Doom, where he's confronted by his parents' killer, all because he wants the pendant in Kless's possession. Why? Well, that won't become apparent for the next half hour. And whoa, subtle. Just in case you didn't know, it's right here. Meanwhile, your ass is thrown in jail, left to rot. So our valiant hero sits there for a minute and starts to hear voices in his head. Unfortunately, it's not Zelda. Anyway, the female voice tells you to stick your hand through the hole in the wall. You can choose not to do it, but that pretty much means the game is over, so your options are, well, none. Hopefully the person on the other side will give us something useful. Maybe like a weapon, a saw, a pickaxe, or an earring. An earring? Well, I guess even in jail you gotta look good. And oh shit! Note to self, don't buy jewelry in this world. Shit's packing more dynamite than TNT. In the next room you find the person with the voices gone.
Or was she ever there to begin with?
Oh wait, there she is. Impaled on the wall. Oh god!
Ah! You okay?
Damn.
Anyway, we pluck out the sword from her lifeless corpse and then raid the rest of the dungeon for goods. And wait, stop the presses, who is that? This is Mint Adnade, a gentle soul with nothing but pure kindness and compassion in her heart, as well as a white mage clergy. She's good for tactical support and healing. Oh, and beating people in the face with her rod? Yeah, we're gonna get to that, I promise. Back to the game. Once you interact with her, Mint asks if you have seen her mother, and then she explains that she was captured with her a while back, and that she was supposed to be in the next room over.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Yeah, about that. All we can pretty much do is promise that she's in a better place. However, Kless chooses not to explain it to her. Mint then decides to join up with Kless, as it would be a better idea than just sitting here and rotting. Upon escaping through the sewer system, you're confronted by a sewer demon because, well, shut up, they exist.
We kicked its ass.
And then both of you make it outside, where Kless is then fatally wounded by a snail! Okay, no, he lives. The only fatal wound is to his pride, as Mint ended up having to carry him off to safety. Kless then reawakens in the mansion of new character Trinix D. Morrison, no relation. He brings you up to speed on current events and lets you know that Chester has made his way up to you as well. This is where we get quite the exposition told. He further details that people who have defeated the Demon King, no, not that one, this guy, were your party's parents as well as himself. And apparently our new villain is attempting to reawaken the sealed away Douse. Why?
He's an asshole.
Why? Well, we don't know. He just does. Must be a hobby he's working on. Morrison takes the lead and decides to see to it that this man is stopped. Oh, but of course, not before telling you all that you're far too young and inexperienced to come, so the better idea for you guys would be to stay put and not follow him to defeat the Black Knight. Immediately right after he leaves, then you go and follow him to go and beat the Black Knight.
Once inside the secret cave, conveniently near Morrison's mansion, your party begins the perils of climbing down to the deepest sanctum of the crypt. Not completely difficult, fairly linear. After kicking a rock ogre's crumbly butt, you move him to open some doors containing a Wraith Ruby, getting a key, and then accessing a lava zone. Of course! What crypt would be complete without one? Turns out you need the ruby to get further in the dungeon, and because Kless is a dunce, he drops the darn thing, forcing you to retrieve it. Oh, son of a... Ow, 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 ow! Finally got the ruby back, and now we proceed to the chamber... not before having a boss.
After proving sword beats rock, we catch up with Morrison and Trouble.
As it turns out, we're already a little late to the party, as the evil Black Knight Mars has already begun resurrecting the Demon King, Totus.
Hot entrance.
You really gotta give it up for this guy Mars, because get this guy actually believed that because he went ahead and resurrected Totus, the Demon King, the Sovereign of Evil, the Lord of all Destruction, is gonna be his. No, really, that was his plan.
Oh, Douse, ancient king, heed my command! My name is Mars! Ha ha! You are nothing but a fool who became entangled in the threads of fate he believed he was spinning. The extermination of my enemies, the retrieval of the keys to my freedom, these things were done by my will alone.
What are you saying? I broke the seal. You're supposed to obey me.
Are you a god?
No.
Then...
Well, we're boned.
Realizing just how screwed everybody is, Trinix Morrison says that you have to find the power of sorcery. Unfortunately, because it doesn't exist in this current time period anymore. He immediately decides to pull a last-ditch effort, and the best course of action is to send all of you back to the past. Thank you for watching this episode of the Tales of Retrospective. Be sure to subscribe and check back soon for part 3, where we will continue the story with Kless and his friends as they save the world and beyond, and as well as moving on to Tales of Destiny.